The precocious child. I'm Joseph, this is Input English. Today I have a true story. The story is from my childhood, and it's not about me. This story is related to you today as comprehensible input. There are two characters. These were people I knew when I was a child. Let's introduce our two characters and tell you what happened. The first character is Bill. He was a neighbor several doors down from us, and he lived in that neighborhood before we moved there. My parents had bought a piece of property and cleared it of brush and some trees, and then they had a contractor build the house for the family to live on that lot. It was their dream house. They designed it, they watched it being built, and they proudly moved into it. Bill was an interesting fellow. He was older than my parents, and he had lived in that area for a long time. He had had several businesses. He had been a land developer, but he also had a business in manufacturing. He was well liked and well known among the neighbors. His style was interesting. He was a very large man, a very tall man, and he spoke very loudly. He had a very firm handshake. One might say that he was larger than life. He was an imposing fellow to meet in our neighborhood. Now, Bill had an interesting characteristic. He had a deformity of one of his thumbs. So humans have these hands, and they're very similar among different humans. We have fingers, and of course we have the thumb. You can call each of these 5 fingers on the hand digits. We have 5 digits here. Most people consider these 4 being the fingers and then this being the thumb. This is pretty basic stuff. Now, what you probably have also noticed is that each finger, each of these 4 digits that we call fingers, has 3 segments. These segments in science, in anatomy, are referred to as phalanges. That's the plural. And one of them, like this one here, is called a phalanx. Now, the difference is that the thumb only has 2 segments. The other 4 fingers have 3 segments. But that's consistent throughout humans. This is nothing that varies very much. Now, this fellow, Bill, had a thumb, and the distal phalanx, that is the furthest out from his hand, this part of the thumb was double. It was unusual. His distal phalanx on one thumb, not on both, was shaped like a Y. His thumb was shaped like a Y. It came up and then split into 2 thumbs. Very unusual. Each of these double thumbs had a thumbnail. They were each a little smaller than usual, and they added up to a very serviceable thumb for him to use. It wasn't really a problem. But people notice abnormalities of hands and faces. When we deal with each other, if there's a subtle abnormality with someone's hand, we tend to notice it. The only thing we would notice more would be a subtle abnormality of someone's face. So this fellow, Bill, had become used to people noticing his thumb, and the usual pattern was adults wouldn't say anything, but children typically did. A child would typically ask him, what happened to his thumb? Why does he have a double thumb? So he had learned, as part of his style in dealing with people, to have a pat answer. So a pat answer is an answer that you pre-form. You anticipate the question, so you have a ready answer. And a pat answer may be oversimplified, it may be dishonest, but it is rehearsed. Now, this is common. People anticipate questions all the time, and we construct pat answers. Now, how true these answers are is up to us. So Bill, when dealing with children, whenever a child would ask about his thumb deformity, he would say, "Oh yes, that's an injury. I was run over by a riverboat." Well, it was clearly dishonest. It wasn't true. In that area, there were no riverboats in the 20th century. Riverboats were seen on rivers, but mostly in the 19th century and very early 20th century. So his answer was obviously absurd. That pat answer usually served its purpose because it caused the child to think about the answer and stop asking questions about the thumb. So enough about Bill for the moment. Let's move on to our second actor in this little play, and that is, well, we'll call her Heidi. She was the youngest of 3 sisters. She lived in the neighborhood, and Heidi was precocious. So when you say that a child is precocious, what you're saying is that the child shows characteristics that you would usually attribute to an older child. A precocious child seems more mature than their stated age. So Heidi was a precocious child. She was very comfortable talking to adults, and she could easily express herself. When Bill met Heidi socially with the families, he dealt with Heidi as an average small child, and he perhaps talked down to her a bit. He talked to her as if she wouldn't understand. The conversation resulted in Bill asking Heidi what she liked for breakfast. He was sort of interviewing her, trying to engage her in conversation. So he asked her what her favorite breakfast food was. Well, hearing the question, Heidi didn't come up with a pat answer. She came up with the true answer. She said that her favorite breakfast food was pancakes. She loved pancakes. Now, this is where Bill got into trouble because he continued in his grandiose style dealing with this precocious child, and he said, "Well, you're in luck because I make the best pancakes in the world. In fact, if you would like pancakes that are the best you've ever had in your whole life, you need to come over and I'll make some pancakes for you." Well, Heidi made a note of that offer, and Bill didn't give it a second thought. He was done with that conversation and they moved on. Well, they moved on until the following morning, because at sunrise, while Bill and his wife were still very much asleep, there was a knock at the door. It continued to repeat, and he eventually woke up enough to figure out someone was knocking at his back door. He dragged out of bed, found his way to the door, and opened it, and there was Heidi. She was bright-eyed and smiling. He said, "Good morning, Heidi. What can I do for you this morning?" And she said, "I'm here for my pancakes." He realized that he had invited her, but he had no idea that she was going to literally take him up on the offer at sunrise the following morning. Bill never got up at sunrise. He was much more likely to get up at 9 or 10, particularly if he's been out late socializing. So what happened is he invited her into the kitchen, offered her a seat at the breakfast table, and proceeded to gather up all the ingredients he needed to make pancakes. Now, this was not the first time he ever made pancakes. He knew how to do it, although he made them from a mix, a bag of ingredients on the shelf in the cabinet. So he pulled together all these ingredients, made the batter, and made the pancakes. He cooked them on a griddle, and when they were done, he served them to Heidi. He buttered them with lots of butter. He poured lots of syrup on them. He was sure that this rich stack of pancakes would be perfect to charm this little neighbor girl so that she would agree that he makes the best pancakes in the world. In reality, he just puts more syrup on pancakes than most normal people. He presented her with her stack of pancakes and then sat at the table while she ate them. She ate them all. She took her time. She didn't say anything. She was busy eating. When she finished her last bite of this breakfast, she stopped and put her fork down. This was the moment of truth, and Bill would like her to agree that indeed he makes the best pancakes in the world. So he asked the question, "So Heidi, what did you think about those pancakes? Were those the best you've ever had in your whole life?" Now, Heidi took this question seriously. She didn't answer immediately. She gave it some thought. And then she looked at him and said, "I've had better." I invite comments below, and if you like videos like this, be sure to click on this one next. See you soon.